Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to this video. In this video we are going to talk about what exactly is Oozie. So in this video we are going to talk about what is Oozie, its components, workflows, coordinators, bundles, job submission, administration, and Oozie usage. Now on a very high level, the crux of this whole ecosystem project that's Oozie is not all programs can be expressed or not all solutions can be attained within a single Mapreduce program. At times you will have to write sequence of Mapreduce programs or sequence of scoop and pick jobs. So something like couple of scoop jobs, then there is Mapreduce or pig. It's absolutely possible. So you can do that using Oozie. So Oozie is kind of a workflow tool which will wire the whole thing. You can have scoop, Mapreduce, pig, everything running in a sequence and you could get your job done. So let's talk about what is Oozie. Oozie is the workflow scheduler for Hadoop. A workflow is a set of actions to be performed. Oozie is able to string multiple yarn applications to complete a unit of work. So you can visualize this as a workflow and a scheduling tool. Multiple Mapreduce jobs can be used to build the different data levels for Hadoop data architecture, and different data layers can include batch or different speed layers. So basically it's a workflow tool that you will be using to do your job. So what are the components of Oozie? Oozie actually runs outside the cluster on a different server, and Oozie has majorly two engines. There is a workflow engine which runs the workflow. There is a coordinating engine that basically runs workflows based on predefined intervals, that's like a cron, or on data availability. So the workflow engine is to run the workflow, and coordinating engine technically takes care of when to run a workflow. Oozie server is basically a JVM that's coordinating between workflow and coordinating engine, and all the workflow definitions are stored in an Oozie database, Along with that, you have an Oozie console. It's a web console where you can track or trace the performance of each and every job. So what exactly is an Oozie workflow? Oozie workflow is a DAG, directed acyclic graph, specifying sequence of actions to execute. Oozie Coordinator is a recurrent Oozie workflow job that are triggered by time or date availability. So based on time or availability, you might want to run a certain workflow, and that is something Oozie Coordinator will take care for you. And Oozie bundle is basically a bundle that will have the workflow and the coordinator information. So that's Oozie. On a high level, we can't run or we can't get everything in a single Mapreduce job. That's why we may require a sequence of jobs that could be SQL, scoop, or pig. And with Oozie we can do that. And now let's see how do you go about doing that. Workflows basically run in a defined order. So you define the order, and based on that the workflows will run. Workflow is defined with nodes. Okay, so Oozie does not really create these diagrams. This is for information. So typically a workflow would look like you start with a certain action, perform that action. If everything goes great, you end that job, and if something is a problem, then you can call an error tag and basically kill a job, do some cleanup if you want. That is how it will work for you. Now, a workflow can be as simple as the previous diagram or as complicated as this, where you say start, act, and then you fork them into a couple of actions, and once the job is done, you can join them and end them. So you can have extremely complicated or comprehensive workflows scheduled with Oozie, and Oozie will still support that without any issues. What are the possible actions that are there in Oozie? Oozie as of now supports actions that are email. So if there is an issue, Oozie will send email for you. You can run shell commands via an Oozie workflow. You can run Pig, Hive, Mapreduce, Scoop. You can also SSH into a different machine. There is a command called distcp. You can run distcp with Oozie and you can write your own action in Oozie, and Oozie absolutely welcomes that. Oozie action nodes can be synchronous or asynchronous. Okay, so you could submit a job and you can wait for it to complete, or you could submit a job and have a callback. Both are possible. So what are the possible control nodes? So we've seen that Oozie workflow is a set of actions that get submitted to an Oozie server which has coordinating and workflow engine. Workflow will run the workflow and coordinating will basically decide when to run it. And in a workflow, you can have action nodes and control nodes. We are now talking about the control nodes. Control nodes basically will define stuff like start and end. So majorly on the event side, start and end. Fork or join, you can have decision or you can have kill. So in this case, start is a control node, decision could be a control node. So these are control nodes which define the sequence of something to be done. So what exactly is a Oozie coordinator? Oozie coordinator basically is the guy who's supposed to run the workflow at a certain time based on schedule or based on certain availability. Oozie coordinator is a recurrent Oozie workflow jobs that are triggered by time and data availability. Okay, so in the properties you can specify what needs to be done, and there is coordinator.xml which will have information about certain configurations. So in our properties here we see that here in the properties file we are saying that, oh, this is the IP address of our name node, this is the IP address of our job tracker or resource manager. So all those configurations, they come from this properties file. You can configure all the properties file. The coordinator.xml file basically can schedule the job based on the time or based on the data availability. In this case, we are talking of data availability or time based, that this is when I want the job to run. So we want job to run every 1440 seconds. That works out to be 1 hour from this day to that day, and we'll basically submit this coordinator.xml job. We can also do, instead of time based, we can do on the data availability base. And here we are saying that if there is a result folder available, only then run the job. So Oozie workflows can be scheduled in two ways. One is based on the time and other is based on the data availability. And the slides show us both the ways of doing that. You can also have a couple of coordinators in a single Oozie job. So basically you can have multiple workflows running in a same Oozie job, and that's absolutely perfect. So your workflow can be really complex or comprehensive. How does Oozie submit a job? So when you schedule a job or when you submit a workflow, based on the time, the Oozie server will submit a job to the resource manager. Resource manager will then execute the job and perform any action that you've set. So the flow is that still the job is submitted to the resource manager. It just happens that it's automated now. It's just that it's automated now. So the way it works is when the job gets submitted, once the job is done, basically the Oozie server will get a notification that everything was done. So some of the configuration files in Oozie. Oozie site.xml will have information about the cluster. You can have logging information in Oozie log4j.properties, and any environment variables including the JVM heap size would be in Oozie in env.sh. Then there is Oozie site.xml, which we've already seen what is Oozie site.xml. And here you can also have security as to who can submit a job and who cannot submit a job, which users are allowed to submit a job and which users are not allowed to submit a job. So these are some of the configuration files along with security settings of Oozie. You can also have permissions on who can start and stop the job. Once you're ready with your Oozie, you can submit an Oozie job from the command line and you can monitor that from the browser. So we've submitted a job. Here in the job, we are conveying that what is the job properties, what are my name node and data node IP addresses, and what job we are supposed to run. And then you have Oozie Web Console, which is used to watch progress of workflows, used to see results. What you cannot do from Oozie Web Console is you cannot submit jobs. You cannot modify job status. These are some of the things you cannot do from Oozie Console. This is a sample Oozie properties file where you don't have to hard code information in Oozie file. Instead of that, you do it in the properties file. And then there is a workflow. In this workflow, we are running a pig job, and the name of the pig job is whitehouse.pig. We can do the same thing for Hive. So we are conveying what exactly are the parameters, and based on that, we are running our Hive file. Can run a Mapreduce also. So this brings us to the end of what exactly is Oozie. On a very high level, what we've seen is Oozie is a workflow engine that takes workflows from the user and submits it. Workflows could be run based on two conditions. One is time based, another is data availability based, and you can have actions that can be pig, Hive, Mapreduce, scoop, any kind of job, and you can also schedule the jobs. So this was all about Oozie. Thanks for watching this video.